to break down that topic and others. Doug McLean, Elliot Friedman, and Brian Burke. But let's have a look here at your All-Stars for the Metropolitan Division and welcome in a couple of first-timers. Sebastian Aho of the Carolina Hurricanes, Matthew Barzal of the New York Islanders, and John Carlson of the Washington Capitals. All of them are first-time All-Stars. No Alex Ovechkin. Sidney Crosby takes his place as captain. Doug McLean, Elliot Friedman, and Brian Burke to break this one down. Do you like it, yes or no? Ovi has said no thanks.
You know what? I don't mind Ovi saying no. He's been a loyal guy throughout the years. I mean, he's put on an amazing show. He's a guy that hadn't won the Stanley Cup, finally won. I mean, he's exhausted from all the swimming, all the drinking, all the partying.
All the goal scoring.
All the goal scoring. How could he possibly muster up enough energy to go to San Jose? It's a long flight. I don't blame him a bit.
You know the rules going in. If you're going to sit out the All-Star game, you know you have to sit out a one-game suspension somewhere. I would be very curious to see, would the league and the players ever get together at some point and say, look, if you go to so many All-Star games in a row, you get the right to say no. If you get 5 in a row, for example, you can sit for 1. I would like to see, I think it's better for both sides than the optics of a player saying, I don't want to go.
He will have the one-game suspension. It will be a game either against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto or back at home against the Calgary Flames at the end of the All-Star break.
Don't we have enough rules? Do we need more rules?
No, I'm with Elliot on this one because there's a competitive balance issue. Which game he sits out will depend and affect the races. So I have no problem with him not going. He's played for Russia in the World Championships every year after his team's been eliminated. I have no problem with this. But
can you say that again?
If he plays, I agree with Elliot. You may want to save that tape, folks. And I'm agreeing with Doug, too, which is even more bizarre. But I do agree that at some point there shouldn't be a penalty. If you've played in 5 of these and you want to take one off, there shouldn't be a penalty.
By the way, we should mention there's one more player still to be decided, and that will be voted on by the fans. The last man in will be voted on by fans. We'll reveal those in the first intermission of our Vancouver-Ottawa game. Let's have a look at the Atlantic right now and have a look who the players that are going to the All-Star game will be, starting with the captain, Auston Matthews. And again, we'll welcome in the first-timers. David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins, you are going to your first All-Star game. And Thomas Chabot as well, named to the All-Star team. But will he play? That is the question. Hopefully answered here in this interview with Kyle Bukauskas.
Thanks, Jeff. Thomas, I wish we were having this conversation under better circumstances in terms of your health, but at the end of the day, you're headed off to your very first All-Star game. What does that mean to you?
I think it's an honor. Obviously, I think it's something pretty special for my family and I. But obviously, it's a lot of hard work. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a great experience. It's going to be something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, and I'm looking forward to it.
The initial recovery time for your shoulder is said to be 3 weeks, so that takes us to about a week before All-Star. How has the rehab gone, and do you expect to be ready for that weekend in San Jose?
It's been going real well. Obviously, I'm well taken care of here. I'm pretty fortunate for that. But obviously, every day that I show up to the rink the next morning, I felt better. And obviously, we're looking ahead to that. But hopefully, I'll get in a few games before that.
Okay, wishing you a quick recovery, Thomas. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Okay, so thank you. So the surprise with the Metropolitan is no Alexander Ovechkin. What is the surprise, the initial surprise with the Atlantic?
You know, for me, it's actually Carey Price because he's coming off an injury. I'd be surprised if Montreal actually wanted this to happen. They're in the playoff race. They're having a really good year. A lot of years, the season still depends on him. I'm surprised that Montreal would want that.
Yeah, he should go along with your new rule. If he's done 5, he shouldn't have to go. And then, you guys will both be happy with that.
It's Morgan Riley for me. I mean, I'm stunned that he's not there. And I will tell you, from having worked at the National Hockey League, the worst day of the year is picking the All-Star teams. The worst day of the year. GMs are calling, screaming at you. Agents are calling, screaming at you. The networks are calling, screaming at you. And you do your best to get it right. And whatever you do, people start throwing rocks right away. So I don't want to throw a big rock, but a little rock, Morgan Riley.
Doug?
You know what? I'm a little surprised that Barkov's not there in place of Yandel. I know Yandel's had a good year. They're happy with Yandel, veteran guy. But Barkov, to me, is the franchise player. I thought he should have been there.
Have you seen the centers in the Atlantic, though? It is a tough roster to
But there's
crack.
no such thing as centers, wingers. It's 3-on-3 they play. Who cares what position they are?
More on that in a couple of moments. Have a look at the Pacific captain, of course, Connor McDavid. First-timers, Clayton Keller of the Arizona Coyotes. Elias Pettersson of the Vancouver Canucks. We'll see him in action top of the hour as Vancouver faces off against the Ottawa Senators. Meanwhile, someone making his 5th trip to the All-Star Game is Johnny Gaudreau of the Calgary Flames. As much as Brian Burke talks about how it's a terrible time of year for general managers, if you're still with the Calgary Flames, Brian, I'm guessing you're happy that Johnny Gaudreau is going to the All-Star Game. You're standing by with Ryan Leslie.
Johnny, a 4-game trip here for your group on the road. It's a huge one, obviously, to kick off 2019 the right way, but I would imagine you haven't forgotten what happened here last year. 8-2, the Wings beat you up pretty good, and then, of course, we all know about the melee that took place.
Yeah, obviously wasn't a good trip here last year. Put it behind us. We have a new team, new systems, and we're gonna play like we've been playing like we did in the beginning at the end of 2018.
26 points for you this month, good enough for second star of the month in the National Hockey League, but we just find out too recently that you're going back to the All-Star Game. I know team success is paramount for you, but what does it say and what does it mean to you to be heading back?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honor when you look at the guys that on our lineup and on our team. You can name 4, 5, 6 guys that could be going, so I'm very honored to be able to represent the Flames and hopefully do my best there.
A little bit later on at Sportsnet West, the Calgary Flames face off against the Detroit Red Wings. Brian, Johnny Gaudreau goes to the All-Star Game. Your thoughts?
This format was invented for Johnny. He's the best player in this format. I love watching him. It's awesome.
You know, we always see the home team get a couple of selections. In this case, in the opening round, is the San Jose Sharks with 3. Joe Pavelski, Brent Burns, and Erik Karlsson. You like, you don't like, Doug?
Yeah, I think it's important for the host team to have more guys, and they're all worthy candidates. I mean, Karlsson to me was okay the first half. He's really come on strong lately. But I think it's good for the city, good for the market, and it's good for the game to have them all in there.
I know he's not going to be on the team, but I hope they find some way to celebrate Joe Thornton All-Star Weekend. I understand he's not playing. I get it. Yeah. They got to find a way to celebrate him.
It's in San Jose. Does someone do the Owen Nolan point on a breakaway in the 3-on-3 made famous by the power forward for the San Jose Sharks?
I would never have the nerve. Well, I would never be in an All-Star game. I would never have the nerve to do it, but I hope so. I hope somebody gets that chance.
Just for the record, he did point at the net, but they did lose that game.
Fair enough.
The other team won.
And was someone who was coaching that other team, by the way?
I
Oh yeah. D. McLean. 7 look at your Central. Nathan McKinnon is your captain. First-timers, Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars. Eyebrows there. More on that in a moment. Mark Scheifele and Mikko Rantanen, all first-timers at the All-Star Game. Listen, Dallas has become such a hot-button topic going back to last Friday after the comments by Jim Lites. Was it almost a fait accompli that Sagan and Ben were not going to be named because of it?
No, I think Jimmy Lites was phoning the guy that's in Brian's job now, saying, "Are you serious? You didn't put Ben and Sagan in there?"
I don't think they played well enough to be included in this game, my personal view. And this kid is a stud. No one's heard of this kid. This kid is just an outstanding young player. He does everything well. He is going to be a star. I have no problem with this. In saying that, there's not one name on this list that you can't argue doesn't belong there. Mm-hmm. There's not one stiff. There's not one guy that doesn't belong. This is a guy people scratch their heads and say, Miro, who? You'll know who he is in a couple of years, folks. This kid's going to be a star.
Any standouts for you here, Elliot, from the Central?
Roman Josi. I mean, Nashville, although they've struggled lately until they started getting going, for me, he's in the Norris conversation this year. Don't have a problem with him there at all.
Okay, deep breath, because here comes the philosophical format question. Do you like it, Brian?
No. I don't. The notion that each team be represented made sense to me when there were 24 or 26 teams. We're at 32 teams in another year and a half, and it's time that we go with the best players. And I know, having worked in markets, having worked in Hartford, having worked in smaller markets where having a player in the All-Star game definitely generated some buzz, I get the concept. Make it every other year. So each team has to be represented every other year. There are 4 or 5 players that are not going to play in the game this year that are having unbelievable years. Not great years, unbelievable years.
But does it really matter I mean, come on, it's 3-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's a lot more important that you're with one of the lesser organizations, that you've got something to hang your hat on. I'm sorry, when it's 3-on-3, I don't matter. I would rather see it that they didn't have to take as many defense. I mean,
because no
more
one's going to
forwards.
play position is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Drop the puck
the
and go.
position is out the door now. So cut back on a couple of the defensemen that I don't think deserve to be there and put a couple of the skilled forwards on there.
I agree. If you want to just go, we're going to take the top scorers from the division. I got no problem with that. One thing that I want to say, it's not so much the game. It's the skills competition. I actually like the skills competition more than I like the game. I hope that they take players who are specific to those skills. I would love to see Chara and Weber do the hardest shot competition one more time. I would like to see them say, okay, Connor McDavid's the fastest skater. Who are all the other fast skaters? Like Larkin's going to be there. What about Athanasiou? Do you just take him there to compete in that? That's the kind of thing I would love to see at the All-Star Week.
Talk about it. How about a senior circuit? You bring in the old-timer guys for the slap shots as well.
Ally Afridi.
Andy Delmore comes in, and Brian Rolston comes in.
If that was the case, I couldn't wait to watch this year.